Thanks for joining us once again for your update from the city of New Hope. Time to chat with the mayor, Kathi Hemken. Welcome, Mayor. How are you doing today?
Hi, Dave. I wish it'd warm up though. It's getting just a little bit old, this
Yes,
cold, rainy weather.
it is. It's going to happen eventually here, but we've got some soggy things to talk about throughout the update today. So listen up for some of the weather-related things that are happening in the city. Let's begin with a big annual day that comes up here at the end of the month. That is a great chance for New Hope residents to clean out their garage and wherever else. What's coming up?
Well, on the 29th, this coming Saturday, is the special materials drop-off. So it opens at 8 o'clock, 8 to 3. Trust me, 8 o'clock, there's a long line. So you might want to get there about 10 or 10:30. And don't come at 5 minutes to 3 because there's a long line then too. But it's a good way to get rid of some of that the special stuff that you don't know what to do with. So there's a list of things on the screen that you can see that you can drop off. Some things cost money, but a lot of the stuff is just free drop off, and it's a way to clean out your garage.
So again, up in the city of Brooklyn Park at their maintenance facility just off of 85th and Noble, you can find that location. Let's talk about management improvement of asphalt and some of the streets around city. It's that construction season once again. So where's some of the activity? You want to take us to 42nd Avenue first?
Well, one of the things that's happening is our engineering department is working with the folks that are doing this stuff. They want to do a permanent easement for ADA next to the drive-in by Applebee's. And so they're working on trying to get that done. You'll see a lot of construction stuff going on 42nd.
All right. Other work happening in the city is underground with the sanitary sewers. The lining project is on in full speed now. Where is that taking place?
Well, I always think that's exciting because how they get there is first they have to have the cameras and they look at it. So that's taking place. I've got to read this so I don't miss it. Bass Lake Road, and the 169 North ramp, that's being done too. They're also doing Bass Creek Circle 61st and Louisiana and Virginia Avenues. So you'll see the crew out there doing that sewer lining.
We're going to talk about 169 a few times through our update today. The next update related to 169 is noise walls. How is that project coming along?
Well, when they decide to do a noise wall, and this one will be from Bass Lake Road to 62nd, the county pays for 90% of it, the city pays for 10%. So if you've been driving on 169 about at Bass Lake Road, you'll notice a lot of the shrubs and trees have been cut. They have to cut that down and they'll put that noise wall in there. We're still working on getting money to maintain the noise walls. Because if you go a little further south on 169, you notice that they look a little shabby. They tell me there is no money for maintenance on these noise walls, just money to build new ones. So I don't know. We keep asking, but we'll see what we get.
All right. We'll keep people in touch. Elevate Hennepin now to community development. This is a partner with the city that's helping out businesses. Tell us again what this is and how people can get involved.
Well, we really want businesses to succeed. And we know that for them to succeed, they need to have a plan. And sometimes they need access to capital. They might need some legal advice. So Elevate Hennepin is part of what used to be Open to Business. They've now taken that over, and it's a free program. The cities actually pay for it, but it's a free program to businesses. You have some one-on-one with legal advice, planning, bookkeeping. They'll just teach you how to run a small business. We want you to succeed in this. Elevate Hennepin really is a free thing for businesses to take advantage of.
All right, and you see the website there. You can find out more information, elevatehennepin.org. You can find out more of how you can get involved. Joint Airport Zoning Board. We've been previewing the meeting. It was canceled once because of our bad weather. Now it finally did happen. How did that go?
They did. It went really good. They had numerous people show up and had some concerns for people. So they'll take those concerns back to their next meeting and discuss them there. So we really do listen when people come in and talk to us about what their concerns are.
Let's move over to scattered site housing, a few properties to update residents on. But first, just discussion about who's behind updating some of these properties. And it sounds like the city had a nice discussion with some people that might be interested in helping out on that end.
Well, we've been working with about 6 or 7 different developers. And we thought, maybe it's time to go out and see if there's more developers out there, builders. And so we sent letters out, about 30 of them, and got some response back. And what we'll do is we'll add them to our list so that when we do have some properties come up, some lots come up, they'll be included and notified that these lots are coming up. And if they're interested in submitting plans, they will. But, you know, the more developers or builders that we have, the better the variety of housing that we get in New Hope.
Very good. A couple properties to update you on. First is 3611 Louisiana. We've been keeping an eye on that property. What's the latest update, Mayor?
Well, that's the one where they're going to decommission, if you will, the property before they demolish it. So they're removing the windows and the doors and all the stuff they can. Well, what they've been doing now is cutting down the trees and the brush that are around the property because that gets in the way. And they also had to take down part of the fence on the north side. So they contacted that neighbor. They said, fine, they're going to take down that fence so they can drill out the stump that's there. And then it's our responsibility to put that fence back up, and that'll happen too. So after this demolition happens, or decommission happens, then they'll go back in the demolition. So it's a long process, but we're getting there. We're moving forward with it.
All right. One other property is 5802 Boone Avenue North. And again, this continues to move along, and it looks like some city departments may take advantage of that site as well.
Well, that's the one that right off of Bass Lake Road. So now they've turned the gas off or the electric off. They'll be turning off the gas very shortly, and I'm sure the water's been disconnected to that property. We're not sure if it's safe for the police and fire to go in there, just because we don't know the condition of that, but they'll look at that. So if you see police and fire vehicles there by the property, it's not a problem. They're just looking at whether or not they can do some training that's in there. Once that training is done, they'll decide which trees and stuff have to come down, and then they'll start doing the demolition of that. They cannot deconstruct that property because there's really nothing there to save and resell.
Okay. Business Networking Group. Let's talk a little bit about a date that people should put on their calendar, May 3rd. And we are going to be honored to have some guests here in our studio.
Well, I'm so excited about this one, Dave. So we're going to have the Business Networking Group on that day at 2:00 at the CCX studios. Don't be late because we don't want to miss anything that's happening there. And thank you, Dave. You're going to host that for us. It's just a good way for residents of New Hope and Crystal, because the two have combined now in the Business Networking Group, to see where some of this stuff is coming from. So when they see CCX now, they'll get to see the studios and how that's looking.
Very good. We're happy to have people come up and find out a little bit more about how we serve New Hope and the surrounding area. Some building permit updates. A restaurant that people have been waiting to have opened. It looks like they're getting closer and closer.
Well, they are. The other day, the girls after lunch or before lunch went to El Laurel's thinking it was open. We sat in the parking lot and went across the street then because they weren't open yet. But they've got all their permits. They're working very hard. They want to open before Cinco de Mayo. So they're thinking early part of May, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one of those days. You can go online to see when they actually are open. They'll put a sign in the window, I'm sure. But I'm sure I'll be there the day they open too.
Very good.
So
and
we're looking forward to that.
Roughly right across the street, a new business as well. It's called Rise Dispensary. Again, tell us a little bit more about that business and their timing.
Well, it's a medical marijuana dispensary. And as you know, that's commercial property. And since the legislature said that medical marijuana could be sold, it's just like any other product. We can't refuse to have them there. What we can do, though, is make sure that they're licensed, make sure we do the compliance check so they're not selling to underage people or to somebody that doesn't have a permit. Now, I understand the legislature is looking at passing a recreational marijuana probably sometime this week or next week. If that happens, I would expect that this dispensary will also be selling recreational marijuana. But we don't know that for sure, and they will trust us. They will be regulated, and we will keep an eye on what's going on there. So it should be a good business coming into New Hope.
All right, let's move ahead to the police department. A few updates to pass along here. In fact, quite a bit of activity. First is some training that went on for SWAT operators. Tell us what this was. Well,
every city sends a few of their police officers to SWAT training. And so our SWAT team actually consists of 2 or 3 officers from many of the surrounding cities. Because typically when we have a situation where we need the SWAT team, it's usually right on the border somewhere, or We just help each other do that. So our operators, our SWAT team operators went to a Special Operations Training Association conference.
Mhm.
And there they get to be together, which is a good thing. And they get some training that's going on up there too. So we're always pleased that they're going up there to do that.
Also in police, we've been following the process of the evidence technician position, and now that position is up and running. What is on tap for that position?
You know, some of this stuff I have no idea of until I look into it. Well,
Mhm.
apparently we have an evidence room. So when a crime's been committed and there's some sort of evidence, it would go in this evidence room. It wasn't exactly categorized. So we hired this evidence technician, and her job is to sort through this stuff, label it, make sure she knows where it is, put it on the computer, get it all organized so that if we ever need to go back and get it for some reason, like a court case, we'll be able to find it and it'll be readily available. They tell me that this whole process is going to take her about 2 years to get all this done
Mhm.
because she's doing the stuff that's already there, but of course there's new stuff coming in.
Right.
So this will be a busy job for her.
I
Who
believe it.
knew?
I understand. Captain Slauson has been busy as well with some training and also with some meetings for some partnerships. Update us on some of his activity.
Well, I think this is really cool. First of all, I'm going to read this. He went to a threat liaison. He's a threat liaison officer, some training with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. So he's been doing that. He's also our police chaplain, which I think is pretty cool. And
Mhm.
so he went to training on that. And we have Officer Callio, who works with the explorers that we have. Again, gone to some training on that. He's been working with the principal at the North Education Center
Mhm.
and just some programs that are going on there and just some events and how the police can interact with that. Our police are trying really, really hard to be out in the community and doing things other than stopping cars and just traffic stops and policing. They want to be out in the community just so that people know that they're there and they're there to help.
And one final note from the police department, the embedded social worker has started as well. Tell us about this new individual helping out the city.
Well, you know, a few years ago, we talked about that. We shared a social worker with Crystal, and we very quickly found that not only did Crystal need a full-time one, so did we. And so both of the cities, the one we had went on to another job, and both of the cities have had now embedded social workers. And what happens if the police go out and realize that they need a social worker at a house or an apartment, the social worker does not go out with the cop. They'll go out later, but they have all the resources so that the person that needs some help can get all these resources from this embedded social worker rather than trying to make all these phone calls themselves. They get some help with that. So the police department is thrilled that we have our own embedded social worker. And I think that'll be a big asset to our police department.
Great addition to the city. All right, let's head to Public Works. And it's springtime and it means a lot of work for Public Works. Mayor, you've got a laundry list here. Just tell us where these team members have been lately.
I'm going to read this because there's so many, it's just hard to believe. So they've been pouring new curbs because of damage from a water main break. They're working to fix the potholes. I want to remind people they need to call the city and tell the city there's a pothole in front of their house so we know where they are to fix. They installed a dock at Northwood Park. They installed the bases at the baseball fields, and they're repairing plow damage to the boulevards. And again, when they plowed, if they did damage to your boulevard or to your mailbox, you need to let the city know so that they can get that fixed, because we don't just drive up and down looking for it. Some of it we know about, and some of it we don't. So be sure you call and let us know.
Okay.
There's a pedestrian bridge at Dorothy Mary Park that they fixed, and they're providing assistance to multiple houses who have water in their basement. They don't take the water out of the basement, by the way. They're just giving them some ideas on what they can do so they don't get that water in the basement. So when you see all the flooding that's going on, it's also happening in some people's basements. So they've been busy. They really have.
It certainly looks like it. Good the city can help out in those ways. Let's head back to 169, give you an update, and this will probably be a regular part of our discussion for the rest of the year. This is Rockford Road, or 42nd and 169. What is the latest there as they move along in that project?
Well, I found out kind of the hard way when I told a friend to get off on 42nd. And first of all, when you're coming from the north, it's not 42nd, it's Rockford Road. To coming from the south, it's 42nd. So, and now they can't get on or off. So remember that those ramps are all closed. You can't get on or off. 169 does go past it though. So you have to use 36th or 49th to get on or off. Now,
Mhm.
both those of those streets are residential streets. So don't think it's a freeway when you get off on 36th or 49th because they're having a lot more patrols there and they will give you a ticket if you're speeding.
Mhm.
So realize that there's families living on that street and that's not a freeway for you.
Great advice. Let's move to Park and Rec and some of the activities happening here as spring again gets up to full speed. First activity is the dancers were out and about. We've got some pictures to share here, and they were in a recent competition, Mayor, and did very well.
They did. There was a competition in Bloomington, and we took a bunch of first places, and then they have top five, and I don't exactly know what that means, but we took a lot of those too. So our dance program is really, really popular. Now they're having a recital on the 20th and 21st of May, and you can get tickets online. If you've never been to one of these, it's really cute to watch. From the little 3-year-olds uh, dancing, that I
Right.
use that word lightly, to the 18-year-olds. And some of these kids have been in the program for 15 years.
Mhm.
And it's just amazing to watch them. I've been watching some of these kids when they were 3 and 4, and now they're 16 and 17. And watch the poise of these dancers is just amazing. So if you're interested, you can go online and get a ticket. If you can't figure that out, you can also always call City Hall and they'll get you to the right person and he'll just kind of guide you to how to get those tickets.
All right, and we'll give you the website here as well, newhopemn.gov. Again, you can find out those numbers and all that information about some of those events that are coming up. Also, this event that is coming up, and it seems a long way away, but they have to do a lot ahead of time, and that means auditions for the Off-Broadway musical theater. What stage are they in now of this process, and what's the show?
Well, they did the auditions last weekend, so they picked the people that they're going to have in the show, and now they'll start rehearsing. And the show is The Sound of Music. And they're going to do it in 2 weekends. So there'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 3 days on 2 weekends, the 19th to the 29th of July. And of course, it's a free donation if you'd like.
Mhm.
They need money to do this, and of course, we all support that. And also, they collect food for the food shelf.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been to one, plan to go see this one because this should be really good.
Yeah, lots of fun. All right, to the softball and baseball fields we go. Softball teams are getting some information, but your staff is also checking on the status of the field. So they want to play, but they maybe have to hold off a little bit.
So staff goes out and looks at the field, make sure it isn't too wet, and make sure everything looks kind of dry. And of course, Public Works has been out to put the bases down, so that part's good. So all the leagues have been scheduled and notes have been sent to the leagues so they know where they are. We've got umpires scheduled for the first 2 weeks, but of
Mhm.
course, if they can't play, they'll move that out. And we're training field attendants at the moment. So another busy softball season in New Hope.
Yep, it'll be here soon. Emerald Ash Borer update for residents here. What is the staff in Park and Rec doing related to the Emerald Ash Borer and giving some advice to residents as well?
So our forester has his can of orange paint and he's out there putting big orange dots on trees. If you have a tree that you think is not healthy, an emerald ash on the boulevard, and it hasn't got an orange dot, you should call City Hall and let them know. Forester will come out and check that. So they'll start scheduling the taking down of trees now this spring. And they'll also give people a list of the trees that they can pick to have put back there. They're asking people not to pick a different kind of tree that's
Mhm.
on the list because we don't want to have the same problem happen again where we're losing so much of our canopy. So if they're taking the tree down on your boulevard this year, they may not be able to put a new one in this year because they take the tree down, they've got to take the stump out, it all takes time. And they're just starting to do planting from last year's trees
Okay,
takedown.
very
So
good.
it all takes a long time to do that. Of course, they don't take any trees down that are past the 15 feet setback of the cities or in your backyard. So those are your responsibility to remove.
All right. One other note on trees. Some of the infrastructure project in the city might require trees to come down. And it sounds like, Mayor, they're working on those at this point as well.
They are.
All right. So be watching for that and some of those projects that are coming up. You have some people out in some of the parks and areas cleaning up in the city. Who are these crews and what are they doing?
Well, you'll see the side of the truck. They come in a white van. It says STS, usually has a trailer with it. STS is sentenced to serve. That means people have done something and they were given community service. Now, the city pays STS. We do not pay the workers. We pay the program because they need a supervisor and they need to be paying for this van. So they're out cleaning up 42nd and some of the parks. It's a good way for us to get the parks cleaned up before we can get some of the seasonal employees there. So if you see them out, that's what they're doing.
All right, let's talk about lights at a couple facilities for Park and Rec within the city. It looks like they have tested out the lights and all systems go.
They're lighted. The lighted softball field has lights, and also the lights at the Meadow Lake pickleball courts haven't worked very well in the recent times. So both of them have been checked. Both of them are working fine. So you'll be seeing lights there this summer and people playing hopefully at both of those.
Fantastic. Final couple Park and Rec updates. Let's hop to 3 facilities around the city to give you what's happening there. First is the golf course. They're chomping at the bit. And I hear they've even had mowers out as well.
They have. Well, I got to play last week. I think I'm one of the few foursomes that actually got to play. We fit that in on Tuesday and it was still nice. So I think they canceled the leagues the rest of the week because it wasn't nice at all. So what they're doing is they did get a chance to mow the greens and the fairways and the tee boxes, and they did that on Tuesday, but it's been so wet. So now, just before I came on to talk to you, I looked out the window and there's golfers out there. So they're playing today.
Good,
So I think
good.
the leagues are back to getting started. They tell me there are also lessons and they're signing up for lessons now, golf lessons, and the junior leagues are getting organized and getting signed up.
All right, let's hop over to the ice arena and give people an update on the play on one ice and then the other ice having still some construction work, but it sounds like that's moving along very, very well.
It does. Well, first of all, the playing, the Minnesota All-Stars team it's a league, and they're playing on the North Rink, as well as the Armstrong Cooper practicing on that North Rink. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. On the South Rink, if you remember, we took out the floor, put all that tubing and stuff down, and this last week they were supposed to be pouring the cement. It was just amazing to watch these big trucks, 260 cubic yards of cement. That's a lot of cement.
Unreal.
So there was a whole crew of people just smoothing out the cement and getting it all ready. So now that that's poured, they'll do what they call is wet curing. They put something on there, I think water, I don't know what they put on there, but 2 weeks of this wet curing, and then they let that dry out, and that's 2 more weeks of curing. Then after that's done, they'll turn on the switch and they'll start making ice. So they're about 2 weeks ahead of schedule, and they're really excited about that. That means 2 weeks more that we can be scheduling people to play there.
Good for them. All right, last up is the aquatic park. How are things coming together there for the season? And I understand still opportunity to maybe get in on some lessons.
Well, they're looking for people to sign up for swim lessons, and they're not full. Some of them are. So if you're thinking about swim lessons for your kids or for adults, now's the time to check to see if there's still openings for that. That fills up pretty quickly, and of course those lessons won't start till they put water in the pool. So that they haven't started to put the water in yet. They're checking the bathrooms for the fixtures and things like that that are going on there. But this is a good time to buy that season pass at the aquatic park.
Right.
They're $65 if you buy them before the 2nd of June. After that, they go up to $75 a piece. But when you think about $10 a time each time you go, a $65 pass is a pretty good deal. So now's the time to buy that. If you've got a kid with a birthday coming up, that'd be a nice little present for their birthday. As a season pass to the new pool.
All right, final couple updates are from Human Resources. We've been keeping you up to date on the police clerk process. How is that coming along?
Well, we had 5 people that qualified, and they went to the personnel board. We hire this group of folks that do some interviewing for us. They are better at interviewing than we are, of course. So they did that, and they did make an offer to one of the candidates. And so they'll do a background check now and make sure that that candidate is going to work out for us. But so I think we're going to get a new police clerk.
All right. And last note is Step To It Challenge. The month of May is coming up quickly here, and you'd like people in New Hope to sign up and get out there and exercise.
I would. So you could go to step2it, all one word, .com. Or maybe it's .org.
I believe it's .org. Yes.
Okay, and sign up. And when you do that, sign up for the New Hope team, because every year we try to compete with Brooklyn Park, and they're a lot bigger than we are. But they do have a category of most steps per participant. And so the more participants we get, the better. And then there's little incentives along the way. The program is free. You actually start recording that on the 1st of May, and it's till the 1st to the 28th of May. So it's just kind of fun to see the things that you do around the house that you don't really, gardening, vacuuming, dishes, things like that, that you actually get credit for.
Right, exactly. All right, go there, step2it.org. You can find out more. One final reminder to pass along, the curbside program that we've been talking about, curbside appeal program. How is that going? And is there still an opportunity for residents to get involved?
Yep, there's money there.
Okay.
And we'd like to give it to people, but they have to have their project approved before. So before you do anything or sign any contracts with a contractor to put something in, make sure you get that program or your thoughts to the city. So you can call and tell somebody who answers the phone at the city, I want to talk about the curbside appeal program, and they'll get you the right person. And then they'll tell you exactly what to do, but get those plans okayed before you make the decision to do the project.
Good advice. And again, the city's website you see at the bottom of the screen, newhopemn.gov. You can find out more about that program and other things happening in the city. Mayor, thanks once again for all of your time. We will look forward to talk to you again next week, and stick with us here. We've got a list of events coming up in the city, courtesy of the mayor, to maybe get you involved. Thanks, Mayor. Have a great week.
Thanks, Dave. See you then.
Learn more about The Connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.